Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Defense was the strength of this team all season, but they completely got annihilated by C.J. Stroud. They let us down tremendously. And Flacco, once again, threw back-breaking pick sixes. I just hope that the Browns fans that were pounding the table to re-sign Flacco and Trey Watson can now come to a realization that Flacco just wasn't the guy for us. It was an enjoyable ride while it lasted, but the clock struck midnight on his Cinderella story.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Scott, I don't know about you. I mean, when you look at it, I think Flacco, and rightly so, you looked at it and said, who can we get so we don't waste a year for Myles Garrett and Joel Bitonio and some of the veterans and turn this into, a potential run at the playoffs. Flacco was the guy. That's what Joe Flacco always was. He was never the replacement for Deshaun Watson.
No, he was never going to be the guy next year. No, you're completely right about that. Now, just because you throw back-to-back pick sixes, I mean, I know how bad those are, and I know that that's when the game got out of hand. But that doesn't erase what Joe Flacco did to get this team to the playoffs. It doesn't erase 13 touchdowns and 1,616 yards in his 5 starts. It doesn't erase the belief he put in that team that they could go somewhere once they get to the playoffs and then go somewhere once they got to the playoffs. It doesn't erase the impact he had on the locker room. None of that goes away just because he threw 2 pick sixes, one of which he had a guy hanging on his waist. So, yeah, he was never going to be the guy, right? Deshaun Watson, they're paying Deshaun Watson a ton of money. Joe Flacco's going to turn 39 tomorrow. That doesn't mean Joe Flacco didn't prove that he belongs in the league. Doesn't mean there isn't a chance he could come back. I talked to a bunch of guys yesterday that think he would be good for Deshaun Watson, and they'd be good together, and that Flacco did fit in fit in great, and had a positive impact in the locker room. Joe Bitonio called him a glue guy. So, I think you have to be careful, and I'm going to harp on this point all day, Dave. You got to be careful about reading too much into 2 throws, right? The guy made 300 throws with the Browns, and I know he's intercepted 10 times. There are a bunch of good stuff there, and, big picture, yes, it's Deshaun Watson, and he's going to have to be your guy. But Joe Flacco has a place in this league, and he might have a place on this team, and you can do a lot worse than asking Joe Flacco to start a playoff game.
Yeah, and again, the pick sixes, you got to take it in context. Pick sixes are never good. He had a lot of turnovers all year. I'll give you that. But I think Kevin Stefanski, Joe Flacco realized we're going to have to score some points. And so he forced it in a thing where he probably, split-second decision. Man, we need points. I'm gonna try to fit it in or get it over there. And it cost him.
Yeah, he's trying to throw the first one away, right? So the thought process there is correct, except he couldn't get enough on the throw. Now, that's his fault. You can't take that away as a quarterback. He should have taken a sack, right? But it also makes sense when you listen to him say, we'd already overcome a 2nd and long, I think it was 2nd and 16. He goes, I don't want to put us in that situation again, so I didn't want to take another sack. We need points on this drive. He just needed to get more on it, or try to throw to maybe Njoku, throw to Njoku's feet. He probably could have gotten it there and saved that down, and he knows it. And then the second, it's 4th and 2, the second pick six. You got to make a throw there in the tight coverage. He tries to force one to Bryant, or tries to get one into Bryant. The linebacker makes a really good play. It's a tough spot to be in. One that in a normal game where you're not down a ton, you punt there, or maybe you run it up the middle. So yeah, they're bad plays, but I don't think they define him, and I think there's explanations for both of them.